An alpha must provide service. Scholarship, leadership, and service are our defining pillars as a fraternity. This morning, as we celebrate Kappa Lambda chartering and install new chapter officers, I want to focus on the pillar of leadership. I've intentionally framed my discussion of leadership from an Alpha Phi Alpha perspective, as well as from an African American male perspective. As a student of African American history and leadership, I firmly believe that as alpha men and men of African descent, we have a distinctive leadership perspective. The standard definition of leadership speaks to an individual's ability to guide, direct, and influence people. As men of alpha, we have a distinctive duality of leadership that requires three unique leadership roles that we embody from an African American experience. Our unique leadership roles include family leadership, professional leadership, and community leadership. These leadership roles for alpha men are frequently executed simultaneously. Our jewels recognize that as men of alpha, we have a special obligation to provide leadership. I want you to listen to the words of Jewel Henry Arthur Callis. And this is what he stated, and I quote, "We were serious young men distraught by the problems of our period. We were dedicated to the extensions of the privilege of education for all, to the struggle for the inalienable rights of all men in all societies, to the building of leadership of the oppressed that should place service before self." Listen to those three again. Education for all. Inalienable rights for all men, especially men of color and African descent who were denied the right. And third, to build leadership and to place service before self. That is what our fraternity jewels stated. And then Jewel Burton Woodson Tandy stated, and I quote, "We deemed it essential that such a fellowship of Negroes of training and culture emphasize unity in order that we might best serve the needs of large masses of people, hungry for leadership and in need of honest and altruistic guidance." That is from the words of our jewels from the very inception of our founding in December 1906. This fraternity has been about leadership and providing service to the community. And here we are, 113 years later, continuing that legacy of leadership. And that's what we must be about. Brothers, the call for alpha leadership is rooted in our inception. Founded 11 years following the death of Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington's Atlanta Compromise. 12 years after Plessy versus Ferguson. We were founded 6 years after Southern disenfranchisement strategies targeted at African American voters. 65 recorded lynchings of African Americans happened in 1906. Alpha Phi Alpha was founded with the mission focused on developing leaders. We know our mission statement, and I don't have to repeat it, but what's the first thing that it says? Develops leaders. That's what Alpha Phi Alpha is all about. Our fraternity is a fraternity of leaders that must make hard decisions and stand against oppressive legislation that limits citizenship based on skin pigmentation. Amen. It is hard to be an alpha. Alpha men make tough decisions. Alpha men with the duality of leadership stand against oppressive actions at cost. That's why I tell everybody, Alpha Phi Alpha was never intended for everyone. It was born out of strong leadership, tenacious courage, and uncompromising integrity. That is Alpha Phi Alpha.